Here we are, web chat with the mayor. It is early February, and we're well into the budget, Pat. And this week we're going to hear about both the police and the library budget. They're going to present at regular council. The police budget, I did notice in the budget that the media received, you had 4.2% in there. Is that about what we're going to see on Thursday night?
The Police Services Board passed the budget last night, and the increase is in that approximate $4.5 million range. 4.5% range increase. So it's about a $400,000 increase in their operating expenses for the year.
So anything new for the police department this year, or is that all salary and benefit related?
Well, the police services budget, it's 89% salary and benefits, so that's where the bulk of their cost is. They're conscious, Chief Freeman's conscious of the cost pressures, not only cost pressures on policing and the fire departments across the province. So he's conscious of that, so he's balancing a need to provide the service. At what service level do you provide it? And but also conscious of cost. So he will be presenting in the budget, showing the things that he does. Policing, when you go to these provincial conferences, one of the concerns that the police have, I think, without question, the police chiefs recognize that the cost of policing in its current format is unsustainable in the long term. That's pretty much clear. The problem for policing is, and I think it came through in the London presentation, the London budget, police budget, was that when an officer goes out on a mental health case, they could be assigned to that case for 6 or 7 hours. So you have those particular issues. We have issues in the courts where police officers are in the courts. And the courts, they're at the control of the judges. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things that policing do that police officers, it's outside their training for being a police officer. So down the road, we'll probably see, is there a need for a police officer to do that type of work? Or maybe it's better for a social agency to be doing that part of work with some protective training, skill training in that area. But that has to come down the road. So right now, in this particular budget, there'll be no increase in police officers. The chief thought at one point in time he'd like to add a couple cadets, sure, but that's off the map. They're not going to. They took a look at their fleet this year, and they're not going to be adding 2 cars like they normally might do. So he's trying to do his best to keep costs without mitigating the risk in keeping the community safe.
And so what will happen Thursday night? Chief Freeman will come forward and present his budget to council?
He will come forward and present his budget. The 2 boards, we have the library and the police board. So he will come forward, present the budget, and outline again I think the key thing in his presentation will be the services that they offer and the level of services. For example, things such as speeding tickets. Last year there was 1,100 issued. People have said speeding's a concern. This year there was some 1,900 speeding tickets issued. So he'll be going through all those particular stats. The other thing that's important is that the police board will be requesting of council up to $50,000 to do an efficiency study. No different than the study that City Council has decided is currently underway with the fire department. So that'll be coming forwards, asking council if the board will have permission to do that efficiency study.
Okay. Wanted to ask you about the library budget as well, and why is that particular budget coming to a regular council meeting?
Well, again, it's the library is under the Library Act. They have a separate board. The CEO, Gary Bombeck, he's hired by the library board. He's not hired by the city. So the boards, these are 2 boards, and that's why these budgets are coming separately than the department one. So they both fall under that particular umbrella. The levy is about $2 million a year on the library. But again, Mr. Bombeck, he does rather exciting presentations and outlines the services and service levels and the new services that they provide at the library. It's they have 1,000 residents go through on a daily basis. So it's successful. If one hasn't been to the library in 10 years, go down, it's changed dramatically. And one of the things that will be talked about in the study is that the library board, they're also doing a study as to what their future needs are going to be. Not that they're going to expand next year, but they're trying to do a little bit of planning to say what our needs are going to be down the road. So again, it's another budget presented by the board. And so we'll have these two budget presentations. When that's done, councillors will also be receiving at the council meeting the actual budgets of what departments spent last year. And then when we meet 2 weeks later in our February meeting, that's when any amendments to the 2013 budget will be made.
All right, so we're getting there, and you're right about Gary Bombach's presentations. Not a lot of people get to see these budget meetings. Rogers has been broadcasting them, but Gary, out of any of the presenters, the department heads at City Hall, Gary does probably the best job at those presentations. He's a wizard with the PowerPoint, isn't he?
It is. We talked to him the other day. I said, now you have 20 minutes. Are you going to stay within 20 minutes? He says, I'll be within 20 minutes, but he'll go 35 minutes. And if I look at any of the councillors, they're all enjoying the presentation. It's a sparkling presentation, but again, it's a good news story.
I wanted to touch on one more thing that we do have in the agenda, something new to Woodstock that's kind of interesting. It's, what is it called, the Pedestrian Act?
Pedestrian Charter.
Okay.
Pedestrian Charter. And I took me aback when I saw it for the first time, but Mr. DeHaan, the engineer for the city, has been pedestrian pathways, trails, has been a focus of his. And so the United Nations and other cities internationally have created this pedestrian charter. And basically it builds upon the principles that to make walking safe, accessible, and for people. So it's a principle to encourage walking. And the charter says when you're designing downtowns, all sorts of things, keep walking in mind, because walking, it's good exercise. I know many people will walk uptown, take the bus home, so it encourages public transit. But it's basically to establish a principle that when we're designing cities, we remember that walking is a very sustainable form of travel. And so we're building that. So it's bringing forward that principle. And therefore, in the future, when engineering brings forward proposals on roads or sidewalks, a councillor can always say, how does this meet this particular charter on pedestrian?
All right, very interesting. We will be talking about that and much more on Thursday night at Woodstock City Council. We'll see you then. I believe it's National Sweater Day, so no issues there for us, right, Pat?
No, other than I might have to put a choker on.
We got lots of sweaters. So we'll see you in a couple more weeks.